Hello, everyone. This is Jeffrey Kerr. I'm here today with two very special guests. One of them I previously spoke with last year discussing his and Katie Rose Clarke's song, Margarita Christmas. He has a new album out titled Witch Hunt the Musical, which he co-wrote with Krystin Crain Johnson. This enchanting release chronicles the tales of women who have been deemed witches for challenging the status quo, featuring 13 tracks with the voices of 16 powerhouse Broadway frontwomen, including Orfeh, the aforementioned Katie Rose Clarke, Teal, Wicks, and Liisi LaFontaine, just to name a few. Please welcome back composer, producer, and musical director Stephen Jamail.
I so happen to be back.
And the other first came on the scene in 2010 when she won the BBC reality competition series Over the Rainbow, which led to her making her West End debut as Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz. Since then, she's gone on to play many other great parts in London, such as Eponine in Les Miserables, Cathy in The Last 5 Years, the narrator in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Maria in The Sound of Music, Sandy in Greece, Sherrie in Rock of Ages, and Betty in Irving Berlin's White Christmas. Please welcome Danielle Hope.
Hello, so happy to be here this morning.
Would the two of you mind telling us about Witch Hunt?
I set out to write. Initially, it was just going to be a couple of songs. I love Halloween. I love spooky season. I was like, and I've been surrounded by incredibly powerful magical women my whole life. And I was like, let's write a few songs about witches. Also, I feel like I have the privilege of getting to do a lot of regional theater, and there's so many great regional theater communities all around the country that I feel like, these theaters will do a season and it will never feature the amount of incredibly talented women between the ages of like 30 and 60 that are in their communities. There's so many incredibly brilliant, blow the house down singing ladies out there that, a given show might have a role for one or two of them. But I would say, I come from Houston originally, and there's 20 women there that could do stuff like this. So I wanted to write a show that would feature that, and it could be done just about everywhere. When Kristen and I realized that we had more than just a couple of songs that we could put together, we started looking at an overall arc of the show, and we knew where we wanted it to end. And that was the number that we actually wrote specifically for Danielle. It's the second to last track on the album, but it's definitely kind of the anthemic way we wanted to end the whole thing, and ended actually very positive. And it's not the spookiest track, but I think it says it really encapsulates what we want to say about these women. So, and it was really fun to get to write for one of the most talented human beings I've ever met. So there we are.
And Danielle, how did you get involved with this project?
So I have been so blessed to know Stephen probably for the longest I've known. So since I moved to the United States from England, and Stephen is one of my oldest friends. And of course, I've always been in awe of his talent. And we've worked together a lot. And when he came to me with this idea, I was like, yes, yes, yes. Spooky season, everything witchy. I want to hear it. I want to be part of it in whatever way. And when we read through the song and Stephen sent me through the song, I just immediately fell in love and was so, so excited. I remember I was in the middle of the California desert in Joshua Tree when he sent it to me, and it felt very magical and spooky being out there. And it's just such a celebration. And just to reiterate what Stephen mentioned, it's so rare that there's more than two roles that go to powerhouse female actors, and to have an entire recording and show where you can feature so many is just so exciting to me, because I just haven't seen that anywhere. With this amount of wonderful, wonderful women and some great, great music. So I'm so happy to be a part of it. And everyone, as you read the list of everyone who's involved, is just incredible. And I think that's a real testament to the writing and how much everyone believes in this project.
Yeah, and Stephen, how did you go about recruiting the talent for this album?
I'm very fortunate that I do a lot of concert work as a music director, and a lot of the women on this album are people who I'm their concert music director for. So I also, that means I really know some of these voices extremely well. I would say almost every number on the album was written for the woman who sang it, which is very rare. It was like an embarrassment of riches to get to like think about these ladies' voices before I ever, put pen to paper on, creating the melodies and stuff with Kristen, of course. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that was my thing. And then there were a couple of areas where I was like, we want to feature this witch's story, and then it was, the matter of finding the right person for it. But my wealth is in my friendships, I will say that much. So it was a lot of fun just to reach out to my favorite performers in the business and say, hey, you want to do this? And luckily they all said yes.
Yeah, and what was it like getting to write the album with Kristen?
Kristen and I have known each other for a very, very long time. Actually, the first song that I ever got placed on a TV show, I wrote with her. I went to college with her sister, and her sister one day said, hey, you should read this poetry that my sister wrote. And I looked at the literally the first page of one of her poems, and I was like, oh, this is a lyricist. I mean, the poetry is great, but this is someone who thinks musically. And of course, her sister happens to be they both, all the women in that family are incredible singers. So it was really, really great to work with someone who understood music as well as the words. And we ended up writing music and words pretty much together. We shared the writing responsibility between the two. She would give me rhythms that she thought she was hearing in her head, and I contributed lyrics. It was really great. And as we dug in on all these different stories, we found a lot of heavier and bigger themes than we intended to. This was going to be a light, fluffy show, and I think there's a big chunk of it that's not that at all anymore. Because once you start cracking open the history of why we called people witches, it's a little scary, and it's a little scary how little we've learned and progressed in that way as a society.
And as I mentioned earlier, Danielle, you've had the privilege of getting to play so many classic roles. What was it like for you getting to be a part of the creation of new material?
So, new works are the most exciting thing for me. And as you just mentioned, I've had the privilege of reimagining and, revisiting so many classic roles. And so to be able to work on a piece that has been crafted with your voice and your spirit in mind is like nothing else, because when you approach a song you think, okay, how will I sing this, how will I embody this? And it was so natural to lift that story and this music off the page and into my voice and my expression, because I was thought of as it was written. And I've never had that experience. I'm so grateful that not only did it come from my best friend, and musical director, and just but Kristen and Stephen just are so, the attention to detail and how well my skill set and what I love to do is showcased in this, in the lyrics, in the music, in the style. It was just so wonderful. I don't think I've ever been as, I was so excited, but also so relaxed because I knew that it was just like, oh, this is like putting on that perfect jacket. And I would say perfect shoes, because how many times have I been asked how to fill a certain pair of shoes, aka the ruby slippers. And so this was like the comfiest, most exciting pair to ever get to put on. It really was so, so special. It's the only thing I've ever recorded that I have listened to myself, like to enjoy the song, because I think the song is so brilliant. And I don't get that feeling of like, oh, I'm listening to myself. Like, I just want to hear that music. And so for me, that was something really unique that I'd never experienced before. Like, I really enjoyed hearing it as well. Because you don't always like listening to yourself back, do you?
Well, I mean, I know a number of artists don't like experiencing their own work, whether watching it, reading it, or listening. No, they don't feel comfortable experiencing their own work themselves. But hey, that's nice that you actually enjoy listening to a song you recorded.
Absolutely, yeah. It's so exciting to me. I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Well, yeah, and what was it like getting to record your song?
Oh, well, we had so much fun because there's always so much fun with Stephen in the studio. It's one of my favorite places to be. We had a few goes and revisited and did some little edits and things like that. But all in all, I would say we got it surprisingly quick, but I think again that's just a testament to when you are writing with a certain voice in mind and you know that person so well. It was so I wouldn't say effortless because, there was a lot of energy and a lot of creativity buzzing around the room and passion, but yeah, it felt so much fun and so easy. I've never been more comfortable in the studio as when I'm working with Stephen and Krystin, so.
And for you, Stephen, what was it like getting to record the whole album?
It was great. I mean, so this album had a kind of a weird journey. I started when we wrote the show, I said, let me just demo it. And because I also do a fair amount of producing and I can create a pretty decent track on my own, it was a really fleshed out demo. And I had all the women come in and they recorded their songs. And then I sat with it and I was like, this show is almost entirely music. It does have a book, but it's not a heavy book. It's really told through all these individual songs. I said, I think the way to get this out in the world is with a proper album, versus a reading or a workshop. And hopefully, God willing, all of that will come. But I think getting an album first. So I reached out. There's a new theatrical record label, Joy Machine Records, who is doing the album. And it was founded by four Broadway music directors. As someone who is a music director for a living, that really spoke to me. And one of their big things was championing new work. Now, in every industry, but especially in theater, sometimes people say one thing and don't really follow through on whatever it is that they put out there. But Joy Machine Records, particularly Will Van Dyke and Brian Yusufer, really followed the hell through. And they said, yes, this is exactly the kind of project we want to work on. They were like, great. But I knew that the demo wasn't as strong as it needed to be. There was, of course, with the demo, you record so fast and you're trying to do it for $2. It's like you don't get everything right the first time. So we brought most everyone back in. We supplemented all of my original produced instrumentals with live players. Also, David Kawamura, who's an incredible pop producer, came in and really revamped half of the numbers with me. I would say there's moments in this that do not sound terribly musical theater, but in a very cool and still very witchy way. Now, I've never written in a style as that some of this stuff is coming out in. So but it was great. It was really special to get to go back and revisit all the songs. And Danielle, when we went back with her track, it was one of the last ones that we did. And when she did her last take, which is the take we used for a big chunk of the song, lightning actually was flashing outside, and I have a video of like lightning flashing as she's belting out the end of her song, in the take that we used. I was like, well, this is it. This is what we have to do. And there were a lot of moments like that with everyone that came in. She was the only lightning moment. It was really special. Yeah, so it was a great experience, and I got to work with musicians that I also adore and have worked with for years, and I got to individually bring them in to record all of their lines, and it was gosh, it was fun.
Yeah, and how does it feel for each of you to have the album released just in time for Halloween?
Yeah, that's it's really meant for that. Like I said, Halloween is my perhaps my favorite holiday.
Mine
Um,
too.
Mm.
and Danielle and I have bonded over this over the years. Definitely the witch to my sorcerer. It feels really right. I'm excited to get it out there. And I think there's actually a lack of like Halloween musical theater stuff that's very specific. I mean, of course, Wicked fits all of that, but beyond that, there's not a ton. Hopefully this will have a place in that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously several, musicals that are appropriate for Halloween, such as The Addams Family,
Yep.
Beetlejuice, Sweeney Todd, and I guess we can now add Death Becomes Her to the list.
Yes.
Yeah, and for you, Danielle?
Oh yes, spooky season, October, general autumn into winter or fall into winter, I should say, is always my favorite season. And I am so thrilled that this is perfectly aligning with October. And I think it's going to give everyone something really exciting, really spooky and witchy, something to get everyone in that October autumnal mood when they listen. So I couldn't think of a more perfect release time for this wonderful album.
And again, for you, Danielle, now going back to the beginning, how did you first get started in the theater?
So I was 17 when I auditioned for Andrew Lloyd Webber's BBC Search program, which was for somebody to play Dorothy. It went over 3 months, and it was a live television show that was on the BBC every Saturday. We went from 9,000 girls all the way to the final, which was 12 of us. And then each week we'd have like the vote, and someone would go home and someone would stay. And I was lucky enough to win that competition and star on the West End as Dorothy in Andrew Lloyd Webber's newly reimagined. So there were some additions to the music for The Wizard of Oz, with Michael Crawford playing the wizard, Hannah Waddingham playing the witch. And so I know I was surrounded by these legends. And so at 17, I got probably one of the best educations anyone could ask for in the theatre, with all of these incredible professionals around me. And yeah, and so I started there and was on the West End from 18, and went on, as you mentioned earlier, to do Les Mis, The Sound of Music, and lots of other shows. But The Wizard of Oz will always be, of course, incredibly special. It was the 100-year anniversary of the London Palladium. It was one of the last places that Judy Garland sang Somewhere of the Rainbow. And so to get to sing that song every single night, and the way we blocked the show was I stood where she sat on the edge of the London Palladium stage in that very famous clip. And so it felt very magical. My dressing room was called the Judy Garland Suite, as it was always called there. Yeah. And so it was a really magical start. And so I've always had an affinity for magical shows and anything witchy. And of course, getting to learn from people like Hannah Waddingham and Michael Crawford, just to name a few. The entire company was wonderful.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to see Hannah on Broadway during the beginning of her run in Spam-A-Lot. So yeah, I was lucky to see her long before she blew up with Ted Lasso.
Yes, yes, of course. So brilliant. Oh my gosh, what a voice.
Yeah, and looking ahead into the future, is originating roles in new musicals something you'd love to do more of?
Absolutely. I recently got to work in Bangkok, Thailand, and originate a brand new musical and a role there. The story was a traditional Thai story, and so it was an international collaboration between Broadway and Bangkok. And I think it just really reconfirmed that passion I do have for new writing. And as a younger performer and as an audience member now, those are the productions I flock to see. They're the soundtracks I search for, on my own Spotify, on my own YouTube. And so I would definitely love to see a lot more of originating new roles, and being on some of those new shows coming up.
And in conclusion, why should Broadway fans seek out Witch Hunt the musical?
You're gonna hear, 16 Broadway divas sing music that was written for them, and sing it really, really well. And I do very much believe there are tracks in this album that are in a vein and a style that people haven't heard before. They certainly haven't heard some of these women sing in this way. And the level of not only vocals, but the level of musicianship that is in this. I mean, you've got Q Robinson playing drums on this. You've got David Kawamura on guitars. You've got Justin Smith on fiddle. These are like powerhouse individuals that are sought out for these specific skill sets. It's, I kind of can't believe who's on this. You're hearing some really first-rate work from everyone. And you're getting to hear some people that don't ever get to play villains play really, really terrifying villains. Teal Wicks, who is one of the kindest, most lovely human beings ever, plays the most sinister witch on the whole album. And I mean, literally, there's nothing redeeming about what she's doing, and it's terrifying. And you get to hear an Autumn Hurlburt, basically be the witch from Hansel and Gretel and talk about eating children. But you oddly root for her because she's so hilarious as she does it. There's a little something for everyone.
And before we go, do either of you have any other upcoming projects that you'd like to share with us?
For me, I'm all about Witch Hunt right now, and I just want to really celebrate everyone who came together to make this project work. And as Stephen said, transcending styles, transcending usual characters that we see these incredible women portray. And I know that there's something there for everybody. And I just can't wait for everyone to be able to listen and tune in and hear these incredible stories, incredible voices, and musicianship.
This is definitely my focus now too, but I'm gonna plug Danielle because I think at some point, I don't know when or where, but Danielle is also very intimidating to write for because she is an extremely talented writer herself. Her musicianship and the way that she constructs a song is wonderful. So I do think in the near future you will be hearing some insane original music from Miss Hope, and I cannot wait for y'all to hear that.
Thank you.
And Stephen, Danielle, I thank you both very much for devoting your time to this conversation. It was great getting to talk to each of you.
Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me back. This was really a treat.
Yes, and for those who'd like to keep up with either of your careers, where can people find both of you on the internet?
I'm mainly reachable on Instagram. It's my name, Danielle Hope, 26. I do not have TikTok. I've never been on TikTok. So that's going to be the best place to find me is Instagram there.
Yeah, I'm at Stephen Jamail on Instagram, and also we'll be posting updates and some really cool social media stuff that we're doing with the album release. That'll be at Witch Hunt the Musical. Sorry, at Witch Hunt Musical. And yeah, it's I'm really excited for everyone to see what we're cooking up with that.
Well, thanks again to you both for joining me today. This was great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.